You're going to learn exactly how to accurately project for a client how long a project is going to take and when they can expect to hit certain milestones and when they can expect to see certain results for what they're investing in you. This is where you learn how to project timelines and deadlines and calendar the whole process of them working with you. Every client wants to know this. Every single client wants to know, and they will ask you, if you don't already tell them up front, how long something's going to take to complete, when they can expect certain results to come from your efforts, because they ultimately want to know when they're going to start seeing a return for the money they're investing in you, so that they can be at peace about it and they know what to expect. And so there's two elements here. There's two types of timelines you're working with. The first timeline is the one you discuss with them regarding when you expect to be completing specific tasks or the project as a whole. And then the second timeline has to do with when you can expect that they will see a return on their investment, when you can expect them to see results to appear as a benefit from the project you did for them. So for that one, for example, if you are a website designer and you just totally revamp the look of their website on their homepage, then okay, within 6 to 8 weeks after we complete the project, you can expect to start seeing a decrease in your bounce rate or something. That would be an example of the two different timelines. Okay, in 3 weeks, I'll have the project done. Your website will be revamped. And in 6 to 8 weeks, you can expect to start seeing a decrease in your bounce rates and an increase in how much time people spend on the web page. And the second timeline where you're projecting the ROI is more of an educated guess. You can't guarantee that, but you can guarantee the first timeline, which is when you can expect to finish a specific task or finish the project. And so those are the two different timelines you're going to be projecting for a client. And as part of projecting timelines, it's important to be totally honest, because it's best to tell your client up front the hard truth that, okay, it's going to take this long, or you might have to wait this long before you see results. It might be a year or so before sales come as a result of this project. That might be the hard truth you have to tell them, but that's much better than sugarcoating it and pretending like they're going to get results faster, and then you get blamed later on when things don't happen according to what the plan was. Now, if you're not sure of an exact time because you're not as experienced and you're still kind of new to things, it's okay to tell them a range. Rather than saying it's going to take 5 weeks, say it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks. Or when it comes to projecting results, you can be like, okay, within 2 to 3 months, you might start seeing a decrease in, or an increase in sales. And you must explain to them all of the factors that's going to influence that timeline. So, how do you accurately figure out how long a project or a task will take? Now we're just going to discuss the very first timeline, the one that you can accurately project much more exactly than the second one. So, unfortunately, with this timeline, this is where you must learn patience with yourself, because until you actually do a task for a client, you won't know for sure how long it's going to take you, right? You can go ask, you can ask other freelancers who are doing what you're doing, how long it takes them to do certain tasks or certain projects and get an idea. But until you do it yourself, you won't know for sure, because you're going to have your own approach. You're going to have your own system. You're going to have your own way of completing a specific task or a project that's different from other freelancers. So how long it takes you might be different. And so until you do it for a client, you won't know for sure. So this means that experience is your answer. You need experience to be able to accurately project this timeline of knowing how long something's going to take. Now, once you get a client paying for that task for the first time, make sure that you track how long that specific task takes. And so don't just track your overall time and then bill them. For your own records, track every single task that you're doing along the way and keep a time log of how long it takes you to do each thing, so that for future clients, you can tell them how long, you can easily project for them how long it's going to take to do certain parts of the project and the project as a whole. So to get really good at projecting, you must get really good at tracking. You must get really, really good at tracking to be a successful freelancer and solopreneur. because then you have data to make your projections very accurate. And then you can pitch higher flat rate project rates, and you can pitch higher hourly rates because you're really good at projecting for the client when they can expect certain results. And you don't need, with flat rate projects, you don't need to tell the client how many hours it'll take you, but you'll need to know for yourself so that you can tell them a date at which you expect the project to be done based on your schedule and how busy you are. And so you'll still need to know how many hours it will take you, even if you're doing a flat rate project. So you're probably wondering, well, what do I do with the first client when I haven't had a client yet and I don't actually know how long it's going to take me? What do I tell them when they ask how long it's going to take? Well, this is where it comes down to, I assume that if somebody's about to hire you for something, that you've done it before, at least in practice. And so if you're a graphic designer and you've practiced designing a certain type of website page, you know how long that takes you, or you know how long it takes you to design a logo, or you know how long it takes you to edit a 2-minute video with one camera angle. And so as you've done that in practice in order to gain the skill, hopefully you've tracked your time, but seeing as this might be the first time you're hearing that advice, maybe you didn't. So I would just take some time on a weekend or whenever you have free time and practice the skill that you're selling and track how long it takes you to do it. And if you still don't have an exact timeline, then shoot high. So let's say you think it might take you 5 to 10 hours to do something. Based on your work schedule and how much time you can commit to each day, if you think you can get it done in 2 days, tell them 4 days. Okay, so give yourself some extra padding in there in case it takes longer than you expect, especially when, even when you're getting experienced, you should still give some padding. Don't tell them a deadline that's going to make you work all through the night. Always give yourself some padding in case the project grows a little bit, in case some extra tasks are added on, in case it takes some extra time to work through a specific problem. Always give yourself padding, but especially up front when you're not able to accurately project the timeline. Still tell them a deadline because they will want to know, but shoot high. Now, what about projecting ROI timelines, the timelines that has to do with the results you expect that will come from the project you did for that client? This is where it gets more tricky. Tracking how long it takes you to do certain tasks is very easy, it's very exact. Whereas this has a lot of different variables at play that will actually affect what result they end up getting. And there's quite a bit that's out of your control on this timeline. And so tracking how long a client can expect to see certain results or benefits is definitely more difficult. For example, a website designer could project that a client will start to see an increase of 50% in how long people spend on your web page after I redesign it. Or your conversion rate will double and you'll have double the emails from everyone that lands on your web page once I change around the format and the look of this landing page. Or a video producer could say that, once I create this video for you for your website, you can expect your audience retention time, how long people spend watching the video to increase. So these are all the results, which is what the client's actually paying for, right? They're not paying for the project. They're paying for the results they think that project will get them. The project is the solution to their problem. It's the pathway to their goal, but it's not their goal. It's not the actual result that they're paying for. And so ultimately, you need to be able to get very good at projecting the ROI, the actual benefit and result that comes from your project, because that's what they're going to be paying you for. This timeline, just like the first one, requires experience. It requires experience. At the end of the day, until you work with several clients and you start seeing the results that come from your work, you won't know exactly what results to project for them, but also when you can expect that to happen. Now, you will upfront have an idea. You have to have an idea of what results you believe will come from your work. And you can just do research on that. You can read some blogs from other freelancers, talk to other freelancers, just make an educated guess on what you believe could happen. because they will want to know. Again, that's what you're selling. You're selling the result. And so you have to have that as part of your package, what result is expected. But until you have data to back that up by working with several clients, you just have to approach things a little more carefully when you're projecting this timeline. But you just have to be more vague in the timelines. So instead of saying within 4 weeks you can expect this, you can say within 4 to 8 weeks you can expect this. And so you can definitely use ranges to be more vague. And you can also be more vague with the actual results. So rather than saying you can expect to see an increase of 80% in your conversions on how many people give you emails once I redesign your website, instead of saying 80%, just say you can expect to see an increase. You're not going to get as big of clients when you can't tell them. The bigger clients, they want to know very, very specific numbers. They want percentages, they want data, they want numbers. But when you're just getting started, you just have to be more vague in the results you give them, that, okay, there's going to be an increase in sales rather than how much the increase is going to be. There's going to be an increase in how much time people spend on your website once we redesign the web page, rather than there's going to be an increase of 50%, right? You don't have enough data to accurately project numbers and percentages, but you can at least tell them kind of the more vague result they can expect. And then as you get more and more clients that are willing to go off your vague projection, you'll get bigger and bigger clients along the way once you get more and more data to actually give them numbers. And then that's also when you can raise your rates, right? And you can raise your prices of your services once you get enough data to start projecting more exact results. Or with this timeline, you can also just leave this one totally off the table. Definitely tell them what results they can expect, but you don't always have to tell them when they can expect it. Especially when you're just getting started, because you haven't worked with a client long enough to even know how long it took for them to get that result. So you can just say, this is the result that I expect will come from my services for you, but just don't tell them a timeline. Don't tell them a timeline. And if for some reason they ask, say, well, there's a lot of different factors at play. There's a lot of different variables of when that could happen. And so I can't tell you exactly when, but I know that if we do this project, you'll have the best possible chance in getting those results. And you just leave it at that. Yeah, you're basically telling them that you don't know exactly when it's going to happen. You're being honest because there are so many different factors at play. But just know that once we do this, you'll have the best possible chance in getting those results. And for some of those early bird clients, that's enough. That's enough to get some of those early adopter clients willing to take a chance on you. And then once you start getting some traction with those early clients, then you don't have to say that anymore. You can actually tell them specific timelines, and your business will then grow from there. So just be patient with yourself during this process. Be patient with yourself during the process of getting enough experience to be able to accurately project timelines and ROI for your clients.